Just about live. All right, what
Well,
is up, everybody? Oh, my bad, Alex. By all means, go ahead.
no, you can go. Might as well.
You're good. My bad. I didn't mean to interject on you. But
No,
yeah, UFC Fight Night. We're back in the Apex. Arnold Allen, Melchizayo Costa. You got a perennial contender in the featherweight division going against a surging guy. It's not the best card in name value. I feel like we always say that about all Apex cards, but nonetheless, it's a Saturday night. We're all fight fans. Don't lie, you're gonna watch it, even if it's slop, you're gonna watch it. But let's just make the best out of the situation we can get. If there's anything you guys like to add about the card, feel free.
yeah, of course, this has to actually compete with a foreign promotion for once. Obviously, we've had other promotions fighting on the same day, but I feel like this is the first time the UFC's actually had to compete and maybe been on paper a little bit worse. And, people have said that before, but this time I think it's actually true. And I think, maybe the way I see it is if you're watching the MVP card, you care about the UFC and you're watching the UFC as well. But there's probably a lot of people out there who are just watching the UFC as well. So I do think UFC still has it based on that. But yeah, they're gonna have to perform. It's gonna have to be one of those cards where it's like, oh, the names suck but all the fights were fun. It's gonna have to be that. But yeah, I'm ready to get into the first prediction.
Sounds good. We'll kick it off in the strawweight division. 7-2, Shauna Bannon out of Ireland going up against 8-4, Nicole Cagliari. Tough fight. I think this is a bit of a classic striker versus grappler matchup, but I wouldn't even necessarily just depict Nicole Cagliari as just a grappler. But I emphasize that just because of the deficiencies in Shauna Bannon's game in the grappling. She's fought a lot of girls. She fought Dakota Decheva in the amateurs at one point. 7-2 record, one pro loss by submission, one pro loss by decision. She coming off her loss against Sam Page, who's a proven veteran of the strawweight division, kind of weaponized the cardio and was able to get on top. As for Nicole Cagliari, coming off back-to-back losses against Carly Judice and Ernesta Caraquete, who I do think are both good flyweights. It's tough, ever so slightly, I'm torn. I think this is if Nicole gets top time, I think she wins it more often than not. But the striking, she does have knockouts, but they're not against good strikers, to be frank. And I know Shauna Bannon isn't perceived aesthetically as a great striker, perhaps. Maybe the weight cut is good for Cagliari, having lost to two flyweights, now coming down to strawweight. But I'm gonna take the dog shot. I'm gonna go Shauna Bannon. I think this fight isn't crazy margins. Cagliari's takedown offense isn't that great, but to be fair, maybe this is the right weight class for her. Judice and Caraquete, I do think, are better than Bannon, but I do think Bannon's fought a lot of different styles, a lot of good fighters, and I feel like if she is able to mitigate the grappling, easier said than done, I feel like she is the better striker. So ever so slightly, I'm going to go Shauna Bannon in an upset by decision, where I think her kicks, her range management, and just Nicole Cagliari not really doing anything with the grappling leads to her getting outpointed. I'm going to go Shauna Bannon in the upset.
Yeah, I actually have to agree. I'm also going to be going with the underdog Shauna Bannon. Plus 235 just seems like a bit of a stretch for a women's fight that's this low level and this close on paper. Just looking at it, it feels like they have very similar experience in the UFC. Both probably have 2 or 3 fights. Nicole Cagliari is 0-2 in the UFC. She has not yet gotten a win. Carly Judice is pretty good, and she made a split decision against Ernesta Caraquete, which I at one point rated. But Nicole Cagliari is kind of like one of these low-level Brazilian girls that I just confuse with every other low Brazilian girl. I'm thinking Amorim, I'm thinking Mosquito, I'm thinking all of these people kind of just go in my mind as the same person. But looking at her record, she's on paper probably the better grappler. I don't remember Shauna Bannon really getting out-grappled. She beat Alice Ardelin, which is honestly aging well. Ardelin isn't anything crazy, but she's like a crafty fighter for the women's strawweight division. Getting submitted by an OnlyFans model, Kay Hansen. Everybody glazed her for being Ronda. That is not aging well. I don't care if that was in 2019. You don't let that happen to you. I know Shauna Bannon looks like she could. She kind of looks like a British thought, right? Like she has that look about her, but she's longer, she's taller, and despite her having a weird Taekwondo-ish style, I actually rate in women's MMA those kind of weird, awkward styles simply because of the footwork and the range keeping. I think the side kick against a Nick Cagliari will work. I think Cagliari is going to be trying to march down with a shitty Muay Thai style, whereas Bannon's going to be keeping the range with a shitty Taekwondo style. But when they're both shitty styles, the shittier style actually becomes more effective. Like Muay Thai beats Taekwondo, but when they're both shit and they both have a shitty style, it doesn't really matter. I like the footwork. I like the range management. I like the overall longer, taller woman, Shauna Bannon, and she's not as bad on the ground either. She's got submission wins. She's experienced in the amateurs, fought the likes of Dakota Ditcheva, took her to a decision. I'm going to go Shauna Bannon here, being the slightly more disciplined striker and able to keep the range and get hit less. So I'm going to go Shauna Bannon, keeping the range, side kicks, decision. Mike?
Yeah, I got Nick Cagliari by decision. I don't really got anything else to say.
All right. Moving on to the flyweight division, we have 17-7 Daniel Barres going up against 10-3 Luis Garul. Interesting fight in the flyweight division. Can't help but notice Luis Garul has had a bit of a tough out ever since the win against Nick Piccini, I think it was. Yes, Piccini, I would pronounce that, on the Contender Series, which was by split, so not even a convincing win in that regard. Since then, it's been tough sledding for him. Tough fights. I mean, Ode Osborne at first glance doesn't look like anything special, but there was, a reach and a size advantage in that fight for him where he was able to get the TKO over Garule. We all picked Jesus Aguilar as an underdog against Luis Garule. I do remember that very much avidly. And we all picked Alden Correa to beat Luis Garule as well. So, he's running into tall, long, good strikers. Jesus Aguilar was able to kind of match him in pace and durability and was able to weather the storm and get a good decision win. As for Barres, older on the older side, I would say. Bigger flyweight. Garule is always going to be the smaller guy. I like that he trains in Entrom. I think that is a good gym. 17-7, 37 years old to flyweight. Not the best intangibles, but 13 finishes and 17 pro wins. So he's a killer be killed guy, I think. You look at his 2 losses. I mean, it's Andre Lima, it's Jafal Filho. Nothing bad about that. Both subs. Carlos Hernandez by split. I think he's pretty battle tested. Daniel Barres. This is a tough fight. Garule is younger. I guess I'd say the better grappler, but striking wise, I think Daniel's dangerous early. Tough fight, but I think this is a pick'em if I'm not mistaken. No, it's like near pick'em. Garule's got the better record. He's the younger guy, but I don't know, man. He just doesn't really move me. He just doesn't. I guess I'm dog hunting today. I guess I am. I'm going to take Daniel Barres. I know his conditioning isn't great the longer the fight goes. I think he's very dangerous in round 1. I would recommend Garule to grapple. I think he should wrestle. I don't think he should play around in the feet. I think if he plays around in the feet, he's going to fuck around and find out. Barres for a flyweight can crack. Yeah, I'm going to go Daniel Barres. And I guess I'm going to go by second round TKO. I think he puts urgency in the striking exchanges early, puts Garule on the back foot, and he's like, okay, I'm going to have to start grappling. I think Barres, by moving forward, almost walking down Garule from the start, he's going to be seeing the takedowns coming, and it's going to be easier to sprawl those, and then he's just going to ultimately lead up to where he's pressing up against Garule up against the fence, and the size is like visible. I think he's going to make use of the striking and will ultimately conclude to a second round TKO from Daniel Barres. I just feel like his finishing upside is greater than Garule's, and I don't know. I'm just not really wowed. The Nick Piccini fight was a split. He could have lost that fight, and I don't know. Just not really moved by Garule in his UFC career so far. Barres, he's been losing, but he's been losing against guys I think that are better than even the guys that Garule is fighting, and I like what he's showing in those losing efforts more than what Garule is showing in his losing efforts. I'm going to go Daniel Barres, second round TKO.
Yeah, I have to go with my second dog of the card again in simultaneous order. I'm also going with Daniel Barres. I think he's just straight up the better fighter. Anytime you see a flyweight that's 37, you have to be careful about that, and Barres is pretty old. That being said, I do think he's actually the faster, better boxer in this fight against Garule, and he's actually a really good grappler, too. He's got a really good grappling, wrestling base for being a Spanish fighter. Garule, I feel like we've all kind of unanimously picked against him in his last 3 fights. I want to say we all unanimously picked him to beat Ode Osborne, which we were all wrong about. And just since then, you can't wash away
Is Alex Ferguson on YouTube?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, you went out. You're back now. You were saying about Daniel Barras. He's like good grappling. Ooh. Let me see. Mike, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Let me text him to probably leave the call and go back in. Oh wait, we might have to. Let me try him. Let's see. I'm just gonna, yeah, at the stage. Cool.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Did
There
you
we
get
go.
any prediction?
You might as, you're better off just restarting it. You were talking about where Daniel Barras is a good grappler. You were there.
Yeah. He's. I think he's the better boxer. I think he's the better wrestler as well. He's a really good. He's got a really good wrestling base for being a Spanish fighter. Being 37, like I said, that's always scary. But watching Gorilla, we all faded him. I think that's where I cut off. We all unanimously picked him to beat O'Day. You can't wipe away that shit smell after that. And I once thought he had good boxing because he was beating Piccanini, who was like DC and like the UFC's handpicked guy. They robbed another guy who clearly beat him earlier in the Contender Series and just gave him another opportunity despite being boring. And I was like, Gorilla, if he's beating him, he's probably pretty good. Good wrestling base, good boxing. Barras has that too, but he's faster and I think he's better. And at this point, I just don't rate Garul. I think he's bum. I've seen what you can do, and it's not very high. Barras' fights, the Phil Ho fight was actually a 1-round war. He dropped Phil Ho. Phil Ho got back up, dropped him with a body shot, then finished him with a sub. Depending on your day, you get a good version of Phil Ho, it feels like. The Altamirano win is honestly what's doing it for me here, because Altamirano, although he's a bum, he's been beating a lot of he's cut now, but he should have beat Felipe Dos Santos. He is a tough guy to beat in the flyweight division as far as the unranked lower level portions go. I think Altamirano would probably beat Luis Gurriel, and Barras beat Altamirano. Like I said, I like the body shots. I like the speed of the hands. I like the wrestling base. Despite being older, give me Daniel Barras by decision over Luis Gurriel, mixing in the wrestling and just being faster early. Mike?
Hello? Y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna agree with you on this underdog shot. I got Daniel Barras as well. Luis Gurriel is just he's shit the bed a couple times in these fights. The O'Day Osborne fight was atrocious. You cannot make O'Day Osborne look phenomenal. That is a horrible look, unless if you're Steve Erceg, and Steve Erceg is having a bounce back performance like how he did in his last fight. But still, it's still a crap sandwich. So I'm gonna go with Daniel Barras by decision.
All right. And we move on back to the women's strawweight division, where we have a bout between two OnlyFans models, as well as I wanted to mention the first fight as well as between two OnlyFans clientele as well. But Alice Ardeline, 11-7, representing, I'm assuming that's Romania. Let me double check that.
Yes.
Going up against 13-8 Poliana Viana. Yes, that is Romania. Tough fight, both these girls have similar record. For what it's worth, I guess I'm going to say like what I see someone that wants to bite down on the mouthpiece and fight harder for your try to get the win. I would assume it to be Alice Ardeline. No offense to Pollyanna, but yeah, I mean both these girls call it what it is. They're both OnlyFans girls. Alice is riding a 2-fight win streak. I actually picked Montserrat Cornejo Ruiz against her, and I thought she fought her heart out as much as she could, but I think Poliana Viana on a skill level is better than Cornejo Ruiz, who Alice just beat. But I don't think she got that dog in her. Like even Cornejo, even though she was losing, she was fighting her heart out. She really was trying. Poliana Viana, I don't know. Like I feel like after round one, like the interest in the fight just fucking drops dramatically. Like if things ain't going her way, like she's like, well, I tried. To be fair though, her losses ain't that bad in hindsight. She's losing to Jacqueline Amarim, a BJJ player, Jillian Robertson, an elite grappler at women's MMA, Yasmin Lucindo, not like a prospect. Tabitha Ricci, ranked. Veronica Hardy, smart. Getting subbed in all these fights, that's not great. JJ Aldrich, she trains with Rose and Val. Like, she most of her losses are UFC caliber. I don't really necessarily don't know if Alice Ardeline is UFC caliber. I think it's like this. I think Polyana Viana, I think from a technical standpoint, is the better fighter, but I just don't trust her to want to win the fight if any adversity slightly shows up. I feel like where Viana might be the more technical striker and the better BJJ player and has fought better people, all of those things considered, I just feel like she don't got the grit and the will and the want of a fighter. I picked against Alice, and I really wasn't moved enough to want to pick her here, but I'm reluctantly gonna because I just feel like there's more volume, there's more pressure, there's more willingness to go into the fire to get the win than I see from Polyana. I think Polyana is the better fighter everywhere, but I just don't think she's a fighter for real in the sense of like if anything doesn't go according to my plan, I'm gonna crumble. I feel like that's what I get with Polyana. So no shade to her, but I just think that she don't when the going gets tough, I don't think she gets going. I'm gonna go Alice Ardeline. I could see maybe a late third round TKO, like late second, early third round TKO, where like it's just an attrition thing, where like Polyana has a decent first round, she looks sharp and she looks good, but Alice is getting takedowns. She's starting to get some ground and pound off, and she's just making it more of a dogfight. Yeah, I guess I'll go Alice Ardeline by. Has Polyana ever been knocked out? Let me see that. I don't think she has, but she might have been. Polyana has been. What's her most of her losses by sub? She's only been knocked out one time. I'll go decision. I just think the output from Alice is going to be a lot. And you guys know me. I love giving you an out of bounds angle. We have plenty of Brazilian fighters, female and male, not too many Romanians. We could use Romanian. And I know we're not dying to watch Alice Ardeline fight, but it's a market. So, yeah. Reluctantly, Alice Ardeline by decision.
Yeah, this is a tough fight, admittedly. I was just looking at both of their records, and Polyana Viana has fought the much better competition. She's fought your Jillian Robertsons, your Tabitha Ricci's, your Yasmin Lucindos, Jacqueline Amarim. All these girls, I think, are better than the girls Alice Ardeline is fighting. She's still kind of fighting the bottom of the tier as far as competition goes at women, which really says something. But honestly, Amarim ain't aging that well either. Lost to Mizuki Inoue, lost to Sam Hughes. I'm going to be honest. What Tony said is pretty much 100% accurate. Polyana Viana has the better hands. She's faster on the feet. She's more powerful on the feet. Less discipline. Better jiu-jitsu, I would say, as well. But all of her fights are pretty much finishes in the first round. If this does go the distance, you have to think it's Ardeline winning by decision, just being scrappier, being more in the fight as the fight goes on. That being said, looking at this from a perspective, kind of like Tony's saying, we got a lot of Brazilians. We don't have a lot of Romanians. Polyana Viana's hot. They like us and people watching her big old titties bouncing up in the cage. That's if you were an owner of the company, that is a beneficial thing. That being said, Romania is bordering Serbia to the northeast, and we are going to Serbia soon. So if Ardeline were to win, take not a lot of damage, she could be on that Serbia card. That being said, Polyana Viana, 3-fight losing streak. Ardeline, 2-fight win streak. If Ardeline loses here, she could be on that Serbia card and still not be cut from the UFC. Whereas if Viana loses, you might have to cut your losses with Shorty. Maybe you give her a 4th fight after you lost. If I'm the UFC and this is a close fight, I'm going to try to maximize my potential by keeping both around. I'm going to try to keep Ardeline on the card for Serbia, and I'm going to try to keep Polyana around just so, them titties stay around. You know what I mean? But the way I'm thinking about it, it's going to be the first round for Polyana. I think she's more dangerous than anybody than Ardeline has fought in the first round. I think there's a good chance of Polyana getting a finish. Ardeline going later, I could see her making it close on the feet. I don't see her as a type of style where she just, despite Polyana being worse in the second or third, I don't see Ardeline blowing her out. I see her kind of touching her up and winning slightly. That, to me, reeks of a robbery. If you're going to make the second and third close where the first was dominant, the guy that won the first probably will win. I was so ready to pick Ardeline, but I'm going to have Polyana Viana winning at what I think is her first decision in the UFC by robbery split decision, a dominant first round where she almost gets a finish, and then 2 close rounds that follow on the feet that Ardeline should probably win. But whether damage or visuals, whether you're looking at her chest or her face, it all points to Viana at the end of the day. So I'm going to say Polyana Viana, robbery, split decision. The UFC decides to keep both around.
Tough fight because anything could happen in this fight. But I think I'm going to go with Tony said. I'm going to go with Artelin by decision. I just can't really see myself picking Polyana Viana when I fight.
All right. Moving on to the middleweight division where we have Andre Petroski, 13-5, going up against Cody Brundage, 11-9-1. Interesting fight here in the middleweight division. I would say Andre Petroski is the better grappler. Yeah, I reckon he's got better BJJ. I think the wrestling is equivalent. If you had to give an edge to someone, though, I guess I would give it to Petroski. I would say he's the better overall grappler. Striking, I know Cody Brundage been knocked out a lot, and I know his defense is not very existent per the Julian Marquez fight, but I reckon Cody Brundage probably is the better overall striker in terms of being able to take a punch, delivering a punch, movement, and all things considered. I just feel like with Petroski, he's very like stiff in his striking. It's like almost as if he's like, oh my God, can I get back to shooting for wrestling exchanges? Like I do not want to be here. You see that with him. This is an interesting fight. Both guys have lost to UFC caliber competition before. Petroski on a 2-fight losing skid. He got TKO'd by Cam Rouston. He lost the decision to Edmund Shabazian, which is interesting because we don't really often think of Edmund as a guy who can go 15. His last win was in 2025 against Adolfo Vieira by decision. As for Cody Brundage, this guy is amazing, bro. Like, I know you look at his record and you think trash, but dude, his last 12 fights, he has 3 wins. He's still in the UFC. This guy is amazing. I don't know how he's pulling this off. It's because he's a Factory X. I don't know. Some shit's going on, but yeah, I mean, like, he's been through the ringer, dude. Like, he fights everybody, anybody. I guess in that regard, I respect Cody Brundage. Even though he's like the Michael Jordan of disqualifications, he knows how to manifest these escapes out of defeat. He turned a 3rd-round TKO from Mansur Abdul-Malik into a no contest in the blink of an eye. Like, he has powers, bro. Cody Brundage really does. All might happen. It's a tough fight. I don't like that Brundage got out grappled by Sindrikas Dumas. That's not a great look. But fuck it, man. I'm reaching, dude. I do not trust Andre Petroski's durability in a fucking fight in 2026. I just don't. And I think, having NCAA Division I collegiate level like takedown ability and defense, I feel like if he defends the takedown, I think he's the more durable guy. I think he throws with more intent. Petroski, even if like he's doing good on the feet, he's not even winning by like a crazy margin. He's just doing enough to like make the opponent not want to engage with him. And he's like, okay, I'm safe now. Nobody's going to knock me out. I'm at my range. Brundage just throwing shit every fight. Yeah, I feel like Petroski only can grapple here. If he can't, I feel like Brundage is going to knock him out. And so for those reasons, I'm actually going to go with Cody Brundage to get like an actual organic win in 2026. I'm going to go with Cody Brundage by... We'll go 3rd round TKO. I think round 1, Petroski is going to be hell-bent on getting the takedowns. I think round 2, he would have survived round 1, Brundage on the ground. And then he's just going to go forward to the point where Petroski can't shoot anymore. And by the end of round 2, he's going to look fatigued, exhausted. I think it'd be 1-1. And round 3, Brundage is just going to pour it on. It's going to lead to a 3rd round TKO for Cody Brundage in an upset.
It's a tough fight. You got 2 bum middleweight grapplers, Petroski and Brundage. The biggest problem with Brundage, and Tony kind of mentioned it, is his record. He's 11-9-1 officially. In the UFC, his official record is 5-8-1-1 with 1 draw, 1 no contest. But if you were to take the draw and the no contest, which was against Al Hassan and Abdul Malik, and that's a lot to say in one thing. That's a lot of Arabic names for black dudes said that are too similarly simultaneously. My bad. Easy to mess up. And the other dude, Malkoun. If you take those and you add them to his record as proper losses, he has 4 wins, 11 losses. He's dog shit. if you have 11 losses and 4 wins in the UFC, you don't deserve to be here. Petrosky, I don't think really deserves to be here as well, but I can at least say his wins are actually wins. His losses are actually losses. Even when he's slamming his head into Malkoon's fucking leg, he's 8-4. It's not a great record, but compared to Brundage's, it's more respectable. The biggest thing that makes me want to pick Petrosky here is the fact that Dumas, a striker with no official grappling experience, was able to hold down Brundage for 3 rounds. I don't care if it was on short notice. You're the grappler. I don't care at what point in his career Khabib takes a short notice fight. He's not getting out grappled by Conor. And I know that's the extreme of the extreme, but if you're a grappler getting out grappled dominantly by a striker, I don't care that it's on short notice. Hang up the gloves. You're a bum. That being said, I do think Brundage is better on the feet. I think he's got the better gas tank. If this gets into a third round, if Petrosky's gassed, I could see Brundage maybe putting it on him and getting a finish. That being said, I think Brundage is fucking terrible. I think his grappling is terrible. I think his striking is pretty bad too, even though it's better than Petrosky's. I think Petrosky's the smarter fighter overall as well. He does less dumb stuff. Unless this is a DQ or a third round TKO, I'm going to go Petrosky. Both fought Nick Maximov. Nick Maximov beat Brundage, dominantly out-grappled him, whereas Petrosky subbed Maximov in 1 round. And I know MMA math doesn't always work, especially for retarded divisions like the unranked portion of middleweight. But I'm going to have to go Andre Petrosky here. I don't think the striking's too much, and I think the grappling is a distinct advantage in favor of Petrosky. So I'm going to go Petrosky, 29-28, loses the third. Mike.
Yeah, I got Andre Petrosky as well. I can't really pick Cody Brundage to win the fight at all as well. He's kind of like a bum. You got held down by Cedricus Dumas, dude, on the ground. Like, I can't rate that at all. He does have a weird, like, I don't know what he has on the UFC to stay for as long as he stayed. Normally, people like that would just get cut right off the bat. But bro might have some dirt on Dana or something, man. I don't know, but I'm gonna go with Andre Petrosky, and I think this is just gonna be a very boring fight. I'm gonna go with 30-27 decision. Maybe a submission from Cody Brundage. I'm not Cody Brundage. Maybe a submission from Petrosky.
All right, we move on to the women's bantamweight division, where we have perennial contender Ketlen Vieira, 15-5, going up against surging contender 10-1 Jacqueline Cavalcanti out of Portugal. Interesting fight. Ketlen Vieira, it feels like she's been in the top 5 just about like a decade, and it really has nearly been that. She's going to be in the UFC 10 years going on next year, if she's still in the UFC by next year. She only loses to really good competition. She's coming off a controversial fight against Norma Dumont. It was a split decision. I had Dumont on a parlay. I'm glad they gave it to her. But you could have made the case Ketlen won that. She's very big. Like, not even like very big. She's good size at bantamweight. She's been working on her jab. She has good takedown defense. Went the distance with Kayla Harrison. Not a bad fighter by any regard. Again, only loses to pretty extreme style, so to speak. Norma Dumont, very good striker. Kayla Harrison, very good grappler. Raquel Pennington, very good boxer. Irene Aldana, very good boxer, obviously for women's bantamweight standards. Yana Santos, decision, just kind of got out physical in that fight. As for Jacqueline Cavalcanti, I think she is a good fighter. I know she trains with Norma Dumont. Not Norma Dumont, Luana Santos. I know she trains with her. I think she has very good striking. And this is going to be a fight where Ketlen Vieira, isn't necessarily the bigger fighter in the cage. And I feel like she's had that in a lot of bouts outside of the ones that she loses, where she gets out physical by like a Yana Santos, by like a Kayla Harrison. And even in the Norma fight, she looked bigger than Norma. Jacqueline hasn't lost a fight since a split decision in 2022 on the PFL. She's got momentum. I think she's the better striker. Ketlen Vieira is not a bad grappler. She was able to mix in some takedowns here and there against Norma. But I just feel like Cavalcanti is the better athlete. She's younger. She's just got better momentum. I'm going to go Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I'm torn between a decision and the KO because I do think that Cavalcanti can crack a little bit. But I'll go Jacqueline Cavalcanti by decision, where she's able to display her striking. She's able to defend takedowns. And the damage is just going to be worn more on Ketlen Vieira throughout the 15 minutes of this bout. So I am going to go Jacqueline Cavalcanti to keep the win streak going. And Portugal, you have a women's bantamweight.
This is a tough fight. Like Tony said, Ketlen Vieira has been around, and she's only 15-5. And when you have a record like that in women's MMA, it means you don't lose that often. But when you do lose, it's usually against a certain style of opponent or just quality fighters in that division. And I'm seeing a style when it comes to the fights that Vieira loses. Norma Dumont, striker. Kayla Harrison's one of the only few grapplers, but they needed her to win that to keep going forward, and it was a very close fight. Raquel Pennington, striker. Yana Santos, striker. Irene Aldana, striker. She loses to strikers. And if you're a girl that's going to try to, kind of muscle with her like a Macy Chasson and try to wrestle, you're going to lose. You're going to lose to the experience and the size of Ketlin Vieira, who's honestly got pretty decent boxing as well. She's a very good MMA fighter. That being said, these girls I'm seeing fighter that are strikers, Pennington, Norma, Yana, Irene Aldana, maybe a hot take. I don't think they're as good as a striker as Cavalcanti. We're just seeing that this kind of younger generation, like the Jocelyn Edwards and Cavalcantis, are actually moving up. That style of striking, the rangy kickboxing, is actually being more effective in women's bantamweight than the boxers, like the Penningtons or the Vieiras. And I think when it comes down to this, we're going to kind of see in a way what happened with Norma and Jocelyn. We're going to see one girl that wants to use her hands, one girl that wants to use range, kickboxing, that sort of style. The biggest difference here is I think Ketlin Vieira's got more experience than Norma Dumont at the highest level, and she's the better grappler, which makes it a little bit of tough. That being said, on the feet, I do still think she's very sloppy, and I think Cavalcanti's very good, and I've seen really good takedown defense from Cavalcanti. She's gone undefeated for many years. Her only one loss is Norma Dumont. That's another good kickboxer. I guess it's not Norma Dumont or Nora Cornell. She's actually 2-0 against Nora Cornell. Okay, I changed my take. Yeah, she's undefeated against Nora Cornell. Her only loss is 2022. Martina Jindrova in the PFL, and she's a bum. So like I said, that doesn't look the greatest, but I'm still going to pick her to beat Ketlin Vieira. I think Ketlin Vieira is just, we kind of know her limits, whereas we're seeing the younger generation of this division level up in real time. That's enough for me to pick Cavalcanti by 29-28 unanimous decision.
Yeah, I got Cavalcanti as well. I think Caitlin Vieira is a very tough matchup. She did give Kayla Harrison a tough run for her money, which was surprising because we've never really seen Kayla Harrison get tested in the UFC like that in a minute. So I'm gonna go with Cornell, but I wouldn't be surprised if Vieira did some crafty vet shit. I'm gonna go with Cornell by decision.
All right, clean sweep for Jacqueline Cavalcanti out of Portugal in the women's bantamweight division. As we move on to two UFC debutantes, two undefeateds making their UFC debuts. Undefeated American Tommy Gant, 11-0, going up against undefeated Ukrainian 7-0 Artur Minev. Really fun fight between two debutantes in the UFC. Tommy Gant, this guy, he's on the older side, 33 years old, making his UFC pro debut. But this guy's been active as a mother. I mean, this guy's his MMA career started in 2023, amateur and pro. He's 16-0 in MMA as an amateur and pro, 11-0 as a pro. But all of his fights have been from 2023. So his activity is off the charts. I really like that. Going up against Artur Minev, who I did see some regional scene of in Fury. And I know that he's, done a camp with Yaroslav Amosov, fellow Ukrainian. So I think he's probably been getting some work at American Top Team, which is good. I think this is your classic striker v grappler matchup. I think Tommy Gant is your prototypical American wrestler, but he's got really good reach for a 155, truthfully. He actually does. I know Minev is he's 5'9" with 71 reach. Tommy Gant's got I want to say 75 plus reach at lightweight. Where is it? Yeah, 5'11", 76-inch reach. So I feel like he could compete on the feet with the straight punches, like the jab, setting up the right hand. But I think ultimately his goal in this fight is to put Minev on his ass, frankly. I think Minev is going to be the guy looking for the knockout. He's going to be the guy rolling with the punches, trying to find his shot in the pocket. Gant's job, I feel like, is to establish the jab, get this idea that he can use straight punches, and then set up the takedown entries. It's a tough fight. I like Minev, but I do think he's a bit young. I think the win that Tommy Gant got on the Contender Series is similarly it's as comparable to Minev as any win that Minev has to Gant. Minev has a win over a 25-12 guy and a 20-13 guy who do have more pro wins than Gant, but I don't think they're the caliber of fighter that Gant could be. I think Gant is one of these guys that's ready to play right now. He's a play-in guy. He's plug him in straight to the UFC, fast track him. Like he knows, like the time is now. He's 33 years old. I think urgency is the emphasis, and I think he's going to mix and take down. So I'm going to go Tommy Gant. Let me see. He has 5 KOs, 5 subs out of 11 pro wins, so he is pretty decent finisher. Minev's never been finished. It's a tough fight, but I will go Tommy Gant by. I'm gonna go decision. I think both these guys are good. I think both these guys are durable, but I think the difference of the fight is going to be Tommy Gant establishing the jab. Minev's tough. He's going to be looking to like throw a hook or an overhand over top of it at some point, but those are just going to set up those beautiful entries for Tommy Gant to get those takedowns. And I feel like the takedowns will be the difference of this fight. I'm going to say Minev's tough enough to go 15, but he gets his first pro loss. Good experience, good lesson for him in his pro debut. I'm going to go Tommy Gant. Plus, it's on short notice for Minev, you know? So, yeah. I'm going to go Tommy Gant by decision where he gets the wrestling going.
2 undefeated lightweights. Minev taking the fight on short notice against Tommy Gant. Tommy Gant, I feel like he kind of gives the vibe of like a Jacoby Smith. He's like one of these black wrestlers that's kind of like DC associated. Really good wrestling and gets to the UFC fast and has a fast MMA career just like Jacoby Smith. They debuted like 2 years ago, like 2023, 2022, undefeated since, just been staying active. Both of these guys have fought bums. Artur Minev has really fought bums. Gant has too, but Livingston is the best opponent out of either one of them has faced, and that was who Gant beat on the Contender Series. We've seen some third-round TKOs for Gant. I'm like, oh, how are you taking that bum to 3 rounds? But you got to take into consideration, this is a guy who picked up MMA pretty much on the fly, and he's been extremely active. No time to really learn or become more of an MMA, more well-rounded MMA fighter in his career. Coming off the Contender Series, though, it's been 8 months. He's had a little bit of time. He is 33. He's a bit older, more of a play-in now, like Tony said. Great wrestling experience, and I think that 8 months of MMA experience that he's taking now in between that Contender Series is really going to speak volumes and might even be the difference between him winning and losing this fight, to be honest. Minev, lightweight training with Amosov. You got to assume they're getting rounds in together. That's a great grappler to be training with, and it just makes sense. Ukrainian. You know, he's in his in his team for Amosov's fight last week. From what I've seen, you know, and the only tape out there on Minev is him against bums. He's got good hands. He's got good timing. He's got good speed. But I haven't seen it against anybody that's worth a damn. I've only seen it against bums. So I got to take it with a grain of salt. That being said, from what I saw, his hands do look good. He might even be the better striker than Gant. But Gant has such an experience advantage. Just in like a couple years, he's got more fights than Minev. Not to mention the years, honestly, decades of wrestling experience that he has. You know, if you're a wrestler and you say it like as much as hi DC or shake his hand, DC's glazing you forever, especially like these like if he's associated with like the Khabib corner or like in the gym at all with them, he's supporting them. I also feel like he really likes black wrestlers. Like I feel like they remind DC of himself. So I think like and you know what, honestly, I think DC's right usually when it comes to these guys. I think Tommy Gant's good. The only thing is his age. He's 33, a little bit old to be getting in, but throw him to the top, give him the Jacoby Smith. And this is the Jacoby Smith route. But this is a guy who wants to stay active. So you can, in theory, get him into that position pretty quickly. I'm going to go Tommy Gant. Most of his wins are submissions. I think that's going to be his big winning method. Minev might be hard to take down wrestling with a guy like Amosov, but I don't think Gant's going to KO him on the feet. It might be Minev will gas out on short notice, but it just seems the method of victory of Gant's fights is submission. So that's the one I'm going to pick. But I could see Minev being tough, making it close, taking it to a decision. But I'm going to say Gant, second round, arm triangle, a good wrestling submission.
Hello? Can y'all hear me? Alrighty.
Yes.
Wait, which fight are we on?
Tommy Gant, Artur Minev.
All right, my bad.
You're
I'm gonna go with Tommy Gant as well. I think Tommy Gant's just the better fighter. I'm gonna go with the decision here. I think Tony and Alex broke broke the fight down really well. There isn't really anything for me to break down on that one. Yeah, I got Tommy Gant decision.
All right, clean sweep as we move on.
Oh shit. Tony got kicked.
I think we're good. Okay. Okay, I'm going to double check that in a second, but everything seems to be good. All right, going back. We are in the light heavyweight division. Yes. Where we have 11-5 Tuco Tacos going up against 14-6 Ivan Urslan. Both of these fighters have the common opponent in Navajo Sterling. Both, existed for 15 minutes, so to speak. Tacos was more of a punching bag than Ivan was. I guess it was more competitive from Ivan Urslan's perspective. He's had a bit of a tough go. Ivan Urslan, they gave him Navajo Sterling, Jimmy Crute, Ian Kutalaba. Had a close fight with Ian in his debut. The Jimmy Crute loss isn't great. I don't know how to gauge that. And Navajo Sterling is not a bad loss. As for Tuco Tacos, surprisingly, like he actually is kind of in better shape since he's joined Killcliff. I don't know how long he's been there, but he's not as like fat as he used to be, like on the regional scene. So I guess there's some improvement there. Both have losses in the UFC. He got KO'd on the way to road to UFC with Min Yang Zhang. He got subbed by Umar Sy. He lost to Navajo Sterling. I can't lie. Like, these are not the worst losses. Umar Sy is aging badly. He's a quitter, but, Navajo Sterling, Umar Sy, that's not bad losses. This is a tough fight. I think this is your classic striker versus grappler matchup. Tough. I will say the Junior Tafa win is aging, I guess, a little better for Tacos. It's just your basic striker grappler. Either Urslan looks good on the feet or Tacos is getting takedowns. It's tough. I don't think Tacos is as good as a grappler as Jimmy Crute, but I'd like to think he's more durable and I guess more able to survive on the feet. So it really is like, does he get the takedowns? That's how this fight feels. I guess I'll go Ivan Urslan by decision. Not too confident either way. I think this is the story of the fight is the takedowns. If Tacos doesn't get him, I feel like he's getting touched on the feet. If he does, then he's able to get top time. And Urslan is primarily a kickboxer, so I don't really expect him to have any crazy competence in grappling. So I'm going to go Ivan Urslan by decision, where I just think his striking, his damage is valued higher than Tuco Tacos' grappling attempts. And I feel like the smaller cage, I think that might help Ivan, even though he's the more rangier fighter. I imagine Tacos is just going to want to smother him in the clinch and try to get grappling exchanges going. Let me see how many times Tucos has been knocked out. He's been knocked out twice. Both were on the regional scene. Both in Bellator, actually. But reluctantly, I will go with Ivan Urslan by decision.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Shit fight. Fucking hell froze over when I'm picking Tuco Tacos in a video, which is what's going on. I'm picking Tuco Tacos to win. I think Ivan Urslan isn't very good. I don't think Tuco Tacos is good either, and I kind of fucking hate him. But that being said, he's got really good grappling partners. He's grappled with Brendan Allen pretty much his whole career. Somebody I also fucking hate, but who's admittedly a good grappler. I don't know if he was a part of the whole Hamzat camp recently, but if he was, that's maybe the best partner you can ask for. Light heavyweight, middleweight, letterman skill, great grappler. That being said, I feel like despite all the shitting I can do on Tuco Tacos, he does have a pretty good cardio wrestler style. He seems to have good cardio, seems to be tough, ate a lot of damage in that Navajo fight. I do think you put a good one on his chin, he's going to sleep. We saw that with Zhang, but Zhang is pretty good compared to these other guys, like the Tuco Tacos level of guys. And honestly, between Ivan Urslan and Tuco Tacos, only one of them has a win in the UFC, and that's Tuco Tacos over Junior Tafa, which isn't great, but it's aged better than it could have. Tuco Tacos coming over a win over fucking Kevin Christian. I think just in this fight, the shorter cage helps the grappler. I like how often he shoots. I feel like he shoots a good amount when he can't get it. I don't think Ivan Urslan is particularly dangerous on the feet. I think we're kind of seeing two bums One trains in Europe by himself. The other one trains at a super gym where he's training with some of the best. Even if you're not going to be anything, I value that experience. The grappler, I feel like in a bum matchup, always tends to do good. I'm going to go Tuco Tokos here. I think he can survive on the feet. I will worry about him getting slept by Urslan, but Urslan got slept before he even came to the UFC. He came to the UFC on a one-fight win streak. Tuco Tokos really strung together like 3 or 4, feels like. Yeah, he strung together 3, including the fucking arm injury, where he fucking hit a Fortnite emote like he hit a KO. I hate Tuco Tokos, but I think he is the more well-rounded fighter, and that accounts for a lot when you're bums. I'm going to say 29-28, Tuco. Come on, man. Look at that. Look.
This one's hard, man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I think we're gonna keep it a clean sweep here. I think I'm gonna go with Tuco Tokos. Not anything can fucking happen in this fight. It's a shit fight. It's kind of like a shit sandwich. Both of them. Like I don't think Tuco's good, and I don't really think Urslan is that good either. But I'm gonna go with Tuco. I think I'm gonna go with decision here. It's just gonna be boring. I think Tuco trains with better people than Urslan does. I don't really know who Urslan trains with. Excuse me. But yeah, I think I'm gonna keep it short and simple here. I'm gonna go with Tuco Tokos via 29-28 decision.
All right, moving on to our next fight of the card. Tony, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Chaos Williams versus Nikolai Veritnikov.
Good fight in the welterweight division. Oh, sorry about that. I don't know why my screen just did that. Let me fix that. Share screen. There we go. We are in the welterweight division. We got Chaos Williams and Nikolai Vikentrinov. I'm gonna keep it pretty brief on this one. I do understand he is a part-time real estate agent, and I don't know if his head's really in the game, but this is just a you got to show me fight from Nikolai. I'm actually gonna go with Chaos Williams. I think he has the reach advantage. I want to say Vikentrinov is like 6'1" with like 74-inch reach, and I want to say Chaos is like 6 foot with 77-inch reach. I think that will matter in this fight. The whole thing with Chaos is that like he just doesn't throw in fights. That is frustrating. Vikentrinov just kind of makes stupid mistakes in fights. But you look at both their losses, I will say that's the common thing between the two fighters. They both lose to good people. Andreas Gustafsson, yes, he did get starched by Renat, but prior to that, he was perceived as a decent prospect at welterweight. He lost to him. It wasn't a great showing because he didn't really look like he threw in that fight, so that could be not great going into this one. But he also lost to Gabriel Bonfim by sub in the second round. No shame there. Had the split decision against Randy Brown, didn't go his way, and he lost to Michel Pereira. Never been knocked out, only been subbed the one time. Most of his losses are by decision where he's kind of just like losing the activity battle. Could potentially happen in this one, but I think that if he just throws, I feel like Vikentrinov's there to be hit. And I reckon between the two of them, I think punch for punch. I think Chaos hits harder. I think the reach advantage is big from here. I don't see Vikentrinov really getting the grappling going. I think Vikentриnov's last 2 wins against Nico Price and Prado was a guy on the way out of Nico and a lightweight at welterweight in Prado. And even then, like that fight was like questionable IQ positions from Vikentrinov. So I don't necessarily trust his fight IQ. This is like, do you trust like low output or do you trust someone who's going to make mistakes in a fight? But for what it's worth, we all know how low output Chaos is. Apparently, statistically, Vikentrinov is worse. It says Chaos is like 4 strikes landed per minute to Vikentриnov's 2. I think Chaos is the better boxer. I think he's got more power. I think the 3-inch reach advantage is big. He's the younger fighter, never been knocked out. I don't see Vikentrinov really getting any dominant grappling going. Give me Chaos Williams by... I could see a decision or a KO. He's only been TKO 2 times, Vikentrinov, one of them being to Austin Vanderford. I think Chaos needs a performance that he can hang his hat on. Most of his losses are by decision. So I will go Chaos Williams by second round TKO.
That is a crazy stat. I'm picking Chaos Williams, but I was going to say, the inactivity Chaos Williams, how little he throws, makes you worry about maybe he doesn't get the shot off and Veritnikov gets over him on output. If Veritnikov's really landing less than Chaos in a round or in a minute, That is fucking terrible because Chaos is a single shot, like Derek Lewis-esque fighter. Varitnikov, though, it makes sense thinking about it. That Danny Barlow fight was single-digit strikes. All of his fights have been dog shit, where he threw single-digit strikes outside of what it feels like is the Nico Price fight. So it probably is a true stat. And if that's the case, I am confidently picking Chaos Williams by fucking slime out. Chaos Williams, thing about him is he's out here selling houses. He's trying to get his ally Aquina on. He's not always in the cage training 100%, making a lot of money selling houses. He doesn't have to do this necessarily anymore, but he is. So I do feel like in a way he does want this. The passion isn't gone. He's lost to 2 strikers in his career, Michel Pereira and Randy Brown. And that Randy Brown fight was really close. Those guys I do think are better than Varitnikov for sure. Randy Brown, despite looking shit, he's pretty crafty on the feet back in those days. And so was Michel Pereira, very dynamic when he was at his best. And this was at 172. Recently, I feel like there's been a narrative about him where he's looked shit, chaos, but it's honestly against grapplers, guys with really good grappling. Bonfim, who's ranked, we've seen Bonfim struggle, but he's fighting Bilal. He's a ranked opponent now. Getting finished by him doesn't age as badly anymore. And Andreas Gustafsson just has a crazy fucking style, a crazy pace that he puts on you. And honestly, that's like the complete opposite of Varitnikov's pace and style. He's just like a full retard grappler is what Gustafsson is. He even called himself that. Varitnikov is a single-digit fucking shitbag that wants to sit at range. Whenever he does step into the pocket with Chaos, that'll be it. I expect it'll be a boring fight until it's not. Maybe Varitnikov starts touching him up and gets a little bit more confident and runs into a big shot. I think something like that will happen. I don't see Varitnikov having like this crazy grappling ability to just throw him down and submit him like Bonfim did, or just to continuously molest him like Gustafsson did. I think his wrestling is shit. He's mostly a striker. And if you're a single-digit striker on the feet with Chaos and you're not going to try to output him, you're going to get slimed out. Chaos Williams, end of the first round, fucking murder. I'm going to say overhand right, and I'm going to go one further. I think he'll break a bone in his face. I think it'll be like a broken jaw, broken cheek, something like that after this. I thought this style matchup was going to be a little bit closer. It's really shocking me how bad the output is of Varitnikov. He's going to get fucked up. First round, slime out for the realtor, Chaos Williams. Or Courthouse Williams.
This one's tough, man, because like I know it doesn't sound tough because Chaos Williams' opponent's ass. Like, he's an Austin Vanderford victim. So that's why I am going with Chaos Williams, but I don't really like picking him, but I'm not gonna pick the other guy either. You cannot be an Austin Vanderford victim. I'm sorry, you cannot. It just makes you look bad. I'm gonna go with second round KO for Chaos Williams. I'm not confident in it, but I'm still gonna go for it. I just can't.
Just to reiterate for our audience, just so you guys can see this, we're not lying. Significant strikes landed per minute. Chaos Williams 4.94 to 2.69 for Nikolai Vikentrinov. Going back to Tapology as we move on to our next bout. Let's see. Right, and we head to the bantamweight division where we have Timmy Kawumba 10-3 going up against Bernardo Sopaj 12-3. Timmy Kawumba, interesting. This is like his third fucking weight class in the UFC he's fighting in. He's fought at lightweight against Balaji Oki. He's fought at featherweight against like Chang Ho Lee, and now he's fighting at bantamweight against Bernardo Sopaj. So curious to see how his body deals with that, his third weight class. But if he is somehow able to pull it off, I mean, I picked against him in my last fight against Chang Ho Lee, and I think I may have picked Roberto Romero. I may have. But Timmy Kawumba has proven me wrong at least once, if not twice. 5'9", 71 reach at bantamweight. Those are good intangibles if he is able to pull off the successful weight cut. 5 TKOs and 10 pro wins, 5 decision wins. One of his 3 losses is by submission. The only time he's been finished, the other 2 are by decision. He lost to Lucas Almeida, so I'm assuming that he got outstruck there. Lost a split decision to Balaji Oki. You're gonna assume he got outstruck there, and he got rear naked choked on the regional scene in Combate Global. Now going into Bernardo Sopaj. representing Sweden. He was doing really good against Vinicius Oliveira until a viral contender for knockout of the year happened in a flying knee in the third round. I want to say he was up arguably 2-0, and then he just got TKO'd in the third. Had a bit of a sweat against Ricky Tarcios, but ultimately got the job done. I think he has the potential to be the better fighter between the two of them, prospect wise. 25, 12-3, representing Sweden, trains at All Stars, pretty much kind of showing a little bit of everything. The main weakness I would assume from him is that the longer the fight's extended, he looks human. Ricky Tarcios went the distance, the third round TKO to Vinicius. Maybe he's not great in managing leads. Even if he does have a good first round, is he able to sustain that for a long period of time? At a UFC level, it's kind of been shaky, as we've seen. But Vinicius Oliveira, I know he's coming off the bad performance against Batista, but I don't think he's a bad fighter. This is a tough fight. And I do think if Kawamba is able to pull off his weight cut, like he has intangibles that are promising. But I think the better fighter here could be Bernardo Sopaj, and I'm going to pick him. I'm going to go Bernardo Sopaj by decision, where he's able to display improvements in the wrestling, specifically in the control aspect. I think he's going to be able to get to positions where he can kind of stall out time, essentially, and be able to recover like his gas tank. He won't be... Keep in mind, the Vinicius Oliveira fight, I want to say, was his UFC debut. So, that was, like a tough fight, and, he just didn't know how to manage a lead. I feel like this fight, he'll be way more conservative as far as his gas tank, and he'll make the appropriate decisions on the feet and on the ground to get him a decision win against Timmy Kawamba. The Chang Ho Lee fight was close. He won that fight off scrambles and damage. I think Bernardo Sopaj is a better striker than Chang Ho Lee, and I think wrestling-wise, I think he could potentially be better as well. So I'm going to go Chang Ho Lee by decision. Good fight.
Or Sopaj, you mean, by decision?
Yeah, I'm tripping. Bernardo Sopaj by decision.
Yeah. This is a tough fight. A lot of things that Tony said are very true. The big thing about Sopaj is the cardio. I do think he's the better fighter. I think he's the more skilled fighter, but the cardio is a concern, and the size. He is not a big guy. He kind of looks like a flyweight in there, whereas Kwamba, he's fought as high as lightweight recently in the UFC. I do think size-wise, Kwamba is going to have a big advantage, and I think despite having the weight cut, I think Kwamba is going to have a cardio advantage. And, the Vinicius fight is, it looked really good at the time and it's aged well, but let's be honest, Vinicius is hittable. Vinicius isn't one of these guys who wants to technically do everything right and not get touched up. He's just looking for that kill shot. He could care less about if you hit him with 3, 4, 5 combos, as long as he's there at the end of the day to eat him. And, Sopaj, I'm not seeing him extend combos. I'm seeing 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, that type of stuff. I'm not seeing super extended combos. He's got good footwork, but I feel like his boxing work is limited. Smaller guy. I do think he's the better grappler, but the scrambling ability and counter wrestling of Timmy Kwamba has actually looked really good, even at bantamweight in his recent fight against Chang Ho Lee. And Chang Ho Lee, I actually think, is a really good grappler for that division. That being said, Bernardo Sopaj, if he were to grapple, I think it'd make him gas out faster. And, now I'm thinking Bernardo Sopaj, Hamzat Chimaev, Guram, they're all gassing out, and they all go to the same gym. There's got to be something to that. I think there's something going on at All Stars that's making them gas out, and it's not one thing. It's not just bigger guys. It's smaller guys, too. I don't think Guram and Sopaj are getting rounds in. I don't think Hamzat and Sopaj are getting rounds in, but they're all gassing out. I'm going to take the underdog pick of Timmy Kwamba. I think he's going to defend the takedowns. I think he's going to be surprisingly active in the boxing. I think he's going to be the bigger guy. When he hits, it will clearly hurt more. And I think Sopaj is going to gas out and get TKO'd in the third round. Sopaj has proven that is his worst round. And if you can't get high enough on the output, you might just lose a decision. If you got 2 rounds that are close and then 1 round where Kwamba smokes you, kind of like how I was talking about earlier with my Viana pick, I'll take that 1 dominant round over 2 close rounds. That's because if you lose one of those close rounds and they give it to the other guy, you're done. Whereas he already has a round in the bag. I'm going to go Timmy Kwamba, defending the takedowns, chinning Sopaj in the third, or maybe winning by decision. But I think Sopaj, despite being the better fighter, he's not as tough. I'll say it like this. He's the better MMA fighter, but he's not the better fighter. Timmy Kwamba, third round TKO.
My bad. Technical difficulty. I can see why Alex is picking Timmy Kwamba. This is kind of what this is another one that I'm kind of iffy on. I am gonna go with Tony on picking Bruno Sapage. I think Sapage is very good. Um, yeah, he got what the fuck was that? My bad. I got Sapage. I think Sapage is fought better comp. I think yeah, Vinicius Oliveira got his ass whooped by Mario Batista. But I think Mario Batista is good, man. And at the time, Vinicius Oliveira was on a tear. I know the name wise aren't like on his win resume isn't really the best, but I think it was a very he's not a horrible loss in hindsight, like in my opinion. Like I think he's a really good fighter still. Is he good enough to like be top 5 or anything? Probably not. But he has shown that he can reach like somewhere close to the rankings in bantamweight. So I don't hate losing to Vinicius, and that was like a one like that was a magical performance. Like so Paj was up 2-0 and he got his shit rearranged with that knee. So I can't really see anything spectacular happening. Yeah, could a potential like successful version of the Ricky Tercios fight happen for sure? But I'm still gonna go with the Sopage here, man. I think he gets it done.
All right. As we move on to the light heavyweight division, where we have UFC debutant Christian Edwards, 8-4, going up against Modestas Bukauskas. Short notice replacement, if I'm not mistaken. I forget the original opponent for Modestas. Let me see who got fizzled out. Let me see.
Adolfo Bellato.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Modestas Bukauskas. I'm going to keep it sweet. I don't really know anything about Christian Edwards. I think he fought in Bellator, maybe. I think he's not a small guy. He's like 6'5", 78 reach. But like I don't really see anything crazy on tape. Yeah, but Modestas' back's against the wall. He's already like had a stint in the UFC where he like left, went on the regional scene to like reinvent himself, come back. If you can't win this, you probably get cut. Yeah, I'm gonna go Modestas Bukauskas. I'm torn between a TKO and decision because like that was the reason I picked against him with Krylov. Like he doesn't have crazy power, like as far as separating himself in a fight. I do think he's the better striker overall, in comparison to Christian Edwards. He's been TKO'd 5 times. Modestas 5-1 in decisions. I'm going to go Modestas Bukauskas by decision, where he kind of has a conservative but effective striking game plan, where he's just kind of able to use the outside fighting, go in and out of his exchanges, really just have a risk-calculated performance where he just does more on the feet effectively, especially with like the kicks. I think the kicks are going to help him. I think he'll land counters quicker. I just think he's the better striker. I'll go Modestas Bukauskas by decision. This is a fight that you have to have if you're Modestas. If you lose it, that's really bad. You got to win this one. Simply put.
Yeah, I'll keep my prediction quick. I'm going to be picking Modestas by first round KO. Just a little MMA math for you. Christian Edwards lost to Luke Fernandez. Luke Fernandez lost in the first round to Adolfo Bellato, who was the original opponent of Modestas. I think Bellato and Modestas are similar in skill. Luke Fernandez is clearly better than Christian Edwards, and he is less than Bellato, which would make him less than Bukauskas. I think this is 2 levels below Bukauskas. Although Bukauskas isn't impressive and it's not super good, against a certain level opponent, he does slime them out in the first round. And I think Christian Edwards is that level of opponent. This is a Bellator guy who went 5-3 in Bellator. He doesn't even have a winning Bellator record. I can't trust you to come in and do something in the UFC against a guy who may not have been ranked, but he's fought ranked opponents and in some cases made it close. Modestas, first round KO. This guy, Christian Edwards, despite being 6'5", you know, that's all he's got going for him. 8-4. I don't like this fucking shit. This is the UFC. I don't care if it's short notice. Like, find a better prospect. We should not be fucking filling in cards into our great promotion with 8-4 records, guys who are going to go 0-3 in the promotion and just get fucking cut. This is why we have a fucking roster problem. This is why we don't have 2 seasons of the Contender Series, because we signed fucking retards like this. And on the Contender Series, we signed fucking retards that don't even win. But yeah, I won't go too heavily into the rant. I'm just tired of seeing fucking guys that don't deserve to be here. I don't care that you took the fight on short notice. Find like your favorite Azerbaijani plumber that's got a 2-0 record. I'm going to be more excited for that rather than an 8-4 guy I already know his ass and's lost in Bellator multiple times. But that's just first round KO.
Yeah, I don't really think I got anything to break down on here. I don't really know too much about Modestas Bukauskas' new opponent. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Modestas first or second round KO. I think I don't really know too much about the dude, and his losses are against like bummy Bellator slop. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say here. Modestas Bukauskas first round KO.
All right, as we move on to the feature fight of the evening, 10-1 Malcolm Wellmaker going up against UFC debutant Juan Diaz, 15-1-1, representing Peru. It's a great fight in the bantamweight division, really. Malcolm Wellmaker coming off his first pro loss at the hands of Ethan Ewing, who we've now come to learn is a pretty good fighter. You know, it's not a bad loss. He's well-rounded. He just beat Malcolm Wellmaker, undefeated striker, and he just beat Rafael Estevam, an undefeated grappler. Even if you want to say that was a flyweight, that wasn't a bantamweight. That's a guy who misses weight a lot of flyweight, so he practically might as well be a bantamweight. Good performances from Ewing, so it's not a bad loss for Wellmaker. As for Juan Diaz, he's coming off that viral finish he got on the Contender Series with the spinning elbow. Very impressive. I think it was against a Korean fighter, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's a good fighter. He trains at Entron Gym. South American fighters historically are durable. He's never been finished. His only one pro loss is against another Peruvian fighter who's actually going to make his UFC debut soon, Rodrigo Vera, who is 21-1-1. Yeah, and he is fighting soon on the fight night in May 30th. So I don't think that's a bad loss. This is a tough fight. Both these guys have one loss in their careers against high-level fighters. Wellmaker's is more proven. The guy he fought is in the UFC. The guy that Juan Diaz lost to is about to be in the UFC. We'll see how good he is. It's an interesting fight, but I can't help but want to take the shot with Juan Diaz because if you look at who Wellmaker was fighting in the UFC, if you like the Smotherman wins like good, but is it really? But if you take that away, like who is he knocking out? He's knocking out like Chris Patino. He better like certain things need to like happen. Where he was hyped up and we were thinking he was legit. He was undefeated for a long portion of his career. But you look at the matchmaking, it's like Simon and Matinho. I'm going to gamble and say Juan Diaz is better than both of these guys. Unless Wellmaker knocks him out, this is a competitive fight either way you look at it. What has Wellmaker proven grappling-wise, offensively, that he can mix in? Other than like the right hand, like what has he proven? I think Juan Diaz has shown that he can hit a spinning elbow. I think he's shown decent footwork, good striking at range. And I'm going to trust in South American durability. I'm going to go Juan Diaz by decision. I think he's going to kind of do what Ethan Ewing did, essentially. I think he's going to take a lot from that tape, and he's just going to implement it into his game plan. So I'm going to go Juan Diaz by decision in his UFC debut, where he's just the more well-rounded fighter in MMA. And for the most part, like Wellmaker has okay kicks, but I don't know. He just doesn't use them enough. He kind of just only uses the hands. I think Juan Diaz got more weapons to use. So unless Wellmaker hits the KO blow, I think this is a competitive fight any way you break it down. And for that, I don't think Wellmaker should be like minus 260. So I will take the shot with Diaz.
Yeah, I guess me and Tony are going to be agreeing on all of our underdogs today. I also am picking Juan Diaz for very similar reasons to Tony. Single shots. I've been having that as a theme in a lot of my predictions. If you're going to be fighting a guy who's going to be throwing more than you, I can't trust you if you're already shown that you're not at a higher level than him. Coming off of an Ethan Ewing loss, Ethan Ewing is pretty good. I will give him that. I'm not shitting on Ethan Ewing like I used to and like, oh, he just lost to a bum. Ethan Ewing is 100% better than all that. Wellmaker lost to a good opponent on the feet. That being said, single digits in that loss in general makes you kind of take him into perspective. There's always hype. And then once the train stops, you get to kind of, okay, He probably wasn't as good as I thought he was. He's not going to be the next Peyton Talbot. He's not going to be the next O'Malley. He probably won't be ranked because he's already 31. These sort of things now is what you start thinking about. Juan Diaz, I mean, I don't know if you can zoom in on your screen, but zoom in on his head, Tony. That if you can. That man has a brick head. Look at him. That is a man who's not getting KO. That is a man with strong shoulders, a strong neck, strong chin, strong head. Wellmaker is not KOing him, is my point. He's going to have to hit him with the most perfect shot. And, the Korean guy in the Contender Series that Juan Diaz fought and KO'd with a spinning elbow had moments of using his range and kind of picking at Diaz. But Diaz was able to just get in the pocket, use his timing, and eventually time a spinning elbow of all things on a bigger guy, which is pretty impressive. Juan Oquan, the guy he beat, isn't great. That being said, the guy who's his only loss, Rodrigo Vera, is actually very good. He's got a very similar record to this guy as well. Just a couple more fights. I want to say he's 20-1, and Juan Diaz is 17-1, 18-1, something, 15-1, 15-1. Yeah. I think we're just looking at almost. I mean, I don't know if their styles are super similar. I don't know anything really about Vera outside of him being good, but very similar records from the same country. I think Juan Diaz is going to have good hands. He's shown he's got good hands on the Contender Series, and man, he's gonna march forward. Wellmaker had a problem with that against Ewing. He seems to have a problem with guys who can really box, and Juan Diaz can really box. He's no Cameron Simon. He's no Chris Moutinho. He's no one-punch KO victim. Wellmaker throws body hook, left hook upstairs. He'll throw like a low kick or a round kick. He doesn't throw very many kicks, but when he does, it's usually pretty basic stuff like a teep, a low kick, and he's not throwing it a lot to really make it effective. He's not working your legs. He's just kind of throwing a leg kick to land. He's not working your body. He just sees it's open and throws it. The thing he tries to work is your chin 100% of the fight. He's going for the brutal slime out KO. And I respect that. If that happens, it's going to be a great scene. And that's why we like him. He has dope, brutal KOs. But against a guy who I think is going to be as tough as Juan Diaz and as hardest to put out of there, I think Juan Diaz is going to have the output and beat Malcolm Wellmaker via decision. I think by the third round, he's going to have Wellmaker completely figured out, and Wellmaker is just going to be solving a Rubik's Cube in there. Juan Diaz, unanimous decision. There's just not enough output on Wellmaker's side. He has a relatively short MMA career for being as old as he is. Juan Diaz damn near has the same amount of experiences. He's got more experience at a younger age. Give me Juan Diaz 30-27 every round.
It's a tough fight here, man. I could see why they're picking Juan Diaz. I really am. But I think I'm going to go with a decision win for Malcolm Wellmaker, man. I think I'm going to take a Malcolm Wellmaker to win here. I get where they're coming from here. I think Juan Diaz is impressive from a little of tape I've seen from him. But, I know Malcolm Wellmaker just looked awful in his last fight. But I think he's had enough time to make better improvements in his game. Hoping that he doesn't do the same shit that he did against Ethan Ewing, where he's just trying to spam the hook every single fucking time. That pissed me off. I think he's got time to improve. Oh, well, not in time to improve. I think he is pretty fucking old to be improving. It's not like we're talking about a 28-year-old prospect. He is a 31-year-old prospect. That's why I kind of think that he needs to win this fight, and I think he knows that. Honestly, I think losing that fight was the best for him, as crazy as it sounds, because now he doesn't have to have all that shit behind his back. He doesn't have any pressure. That loss is already been dealt with. Now it's just him needing to improve in his game if he wants to be any better than he was. So I'm going to go with a 29-28 decision from Malcolm Wellmaker. I think he'll show improvements in his game. I think he'll have a tough fight ahead of him for sure, because Juan Diaz is pretty tough. But I'm not going to sleep on Malcolm Wellmaker, man. I think he's still pretty decent.
Do I think he's as good as we thought he would be, like a Peyton Talbot or something like that? No, but I don't think he's that bad. I don't think he's bad, man. I think he's got top. I think I think he's still got some pretty decent moves in his game.
All right. And we head to the co-main event of the evening between, what is this, 16-4-1 Duho Choi versus 13-2 Daniel Santos. This is a good fight in the featherweight division, really. Daniel Santos kind of has a dynamic to a fighter like Christian Rodriguez to me, where he'll like miss weight in fights almost strategically a little bit. He is oddly on a 2-fight KO streak against Korean fighters that is very uncanny going into this fight. I like Duho Choi. I think I picked him against Nate Landwehr, if I remember correctly. This is a tough fight for him, though, because Daniel Santos does train at shoot box with Charles Oliveira, 4-1 in the UFC. His only loss being Julio Arce, a bantamweight who's not bad. Now fights at featherweight. His other loss being against a Murad Kalimov by decision. So he's never been finished, really. So I will give Daniel Santos props on that. He is a pretty durable fighter. It's a tough fight. Duho Choi, 35 years old, though. And the Nate Landwehr win isn't aging as well. I will say, though, he had like little to no resistance in that fight. Like that was like a clinical decision where he just out MMA'd Nate Landwehr from everywhere. He got a third round TKO and crucifix. Like I didn't expect Duho Choi's grappling to be so improved. But let's not forget, 2 years ago, he did go to a draw against the likes of a Kyle Nelson. Not a great look. I really want to pick Duho Choi, but Daniel Santos isn't bad. Let me see the difference in reach here. Duho Choi has got like 70-inch reach, 5'10". Daniel Santos got like 5'7", 67-inch reach, 4-inch reach advantage for Duho. UFC experience, I'd say Duho. Durability, I'd go Santos. Tough fight. Reluctantly, as much as I want to go Duho Choi, I think I'm going to go Daniel Santos by decision. Let me see what his record is in decisions. He is 5-2, so kind of a finish-heavy needed kind of fighter. I really want to pick fucking Duho Choi. Let me see who's knocked him out. Charles Jourdain, that's not that bad. The bantamweight. Loss of Jeremy Stevens, rough. That's 2018 though, but that's rough. Cub Swanson, that's not a bad one. That was a great fight. Reluctantly, I'm gonna go Daniel Santos. I think his level of grappling, he'll mix it in if he needs to. So I'll go decision Daniel Santos. Reluctantly, hoping Duho Choi proves me wrong.
Yeah, this is a close fight in the featherweight division. Like Tony said, Daniel Santos on a bit of a win streak against Koreans. That being said, just looking at him, Daniel Santos still much more has that bantamweight body type compared to a featherweight one. His hands are good, his kicks are good, his grappling's good, but I'll be honest, I just watching him fight, I see him as less technical than Duho Choi. I think Duho's the better boxer, and I also believe in the grappling he will be more dominant. Even though Daniel Santos has had more experience, I think the size of Duho Choi will help him in these grappling exchanges. You know, obviously a draw against Kyle Nelson looks pretty bad, but if I remember right, it was like one of those where like Duho had like one accidental headbutt or something on top and they just immediately deducted a point. They really fucked him over. Other than that, Duho would have easily won. And honestly, around then, Kyle Smith or Kyle Nelson or whatever his name was on a bit of a win streak. Duho has improved, I think, past that. Nate Landwehr win isn't aging so good either, though, to be honest. He doesn't move his fucking head, though, does he? Duho doesn't move his fucking head. Shit. Fuck. He came back from military service and looked really good. Kind of reminds me of Korean Zombie. He looked so good against Nate Landwehr, but now that means nothing to me. And he's inactive.
Right. Yeah, I want Duho to win so bad, but yeah.
I think Daniel Santos at featherweight just hasn't really looked good. He's kind of looked like a fat little man.
Yeah.
there is potential he chins him, but like that Jai Sung Woo fight, the guy that kind of fought like Korean Connor, that was kind of the best opportunity to outclass him on the feet, and his head was really up in the air. Duho keeps his head up in the air, but I think his defense is a little bit better than all that. I think he's got better experience. I think this will be a war. Ah, fuck. I'm going to go Duho Choi. I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to change on a dime. But I'm going to pick him. I think he is the better fighter. I think Duho is the better fighter. He is older, but he hasn't shown his age in his fights. He looks better than he's ever looked. Despite his age, I'm going to trust in the improvements after his military service in Korea to be the better fighter and get this done by unanimous decision 29-28, despite having scary moments. I'm going to stick with Duho.
Yeah, I got Duho Choi as well. I know why Alex is nervous about Duho getting potentially caught here. He has been knocked out in his career prior to that brutal war with Cub Swanson. But Daniel Santos has been dropped too before in fights. Like people forget, man, when he was in bantamweight, bro was getting dropped by bantamweights. Like he was getting dropped. Like that was why people were kind of calling him Mini Charles, because he would get dropped and have comeback moments. If Duo's dropping you, I feel like he's gonna try to kill you. So I'm gonna go with Duho Choi here. I haven't really seen anything that really impressed me from Daniel Santos. He just looks like Alex said. He looked like a fat, like little man in the cage. He's kind of like a fat bantamweight, in my opinion. Nothing really that impresses me. I think Duho has been looking really good despite being older. Could this bite me in the ass? Yeah. I can see why, like I said, I could see why Tony's picking Daniel Santos, but I'm not going to sit here and act like Daniel Santos isn't hittable either. I've seen him get dropped by bantamweights before. That's kind of why everybody at one point was kind of calling him Mini Charles, because he would get dropped, damn near knocked out in moments, and then he would come back and win the fight. And if you're doing that against Duho, who's been in there with guys like Jeremy Stevens and Cub Swanson and stuff like that, like I think you're gonna have to kill him to beat him. And if you even give Duho Choi any like sniff of blood, like if he smells blood, I think he will go for the kill. So I'm going with Duho Choi. I'm gonna go with second round TKO here. But it could be a decision. But I think these the featherweights hit harder than the bantamweights, and if a bantamweight's dropping you while you were in shape back then, featherweight's gonna knock you out when you're out of shape. But I could be wrong.
All right, and we move on to the main event of the evening between featherweights 20-4 Arnold Allen and 26-7 Malkaziel Costa. Almighty Allen versus Dalmatian. This is a tough fight. I think you're getting two fighters at different points in their careers. Malkaziel Costa, outside of the start of his career, is in the longest win streak of his career, and honestly, this win streak's better because it's UFC caliber. He beat, since the Steve Garcia loss in 2023, he's reeled off 6-fight win streak. Active, became the first guy ever to knock out Danny Ige, and Danny Ige, say whatever you want about him, but he's been in there with a lot of different featherweights who've been ranked. But outside of that, really good win streak, got multiple finishes, going up against Arnold Allen, who is in the midst of a losing streak, but it's against pretty significant competition. He's fighting the likes of Max Holloway, Movsar Evloev, Gene Silva. Only on a one-fight losing streak, but 1-3 in his last 4, dating back to 2023. But again, look who he's fighting: Holloway, Evloev, Gene Silva. I think this is a levels fight. I do recognize that Malkaziel is on momentum. He's fighting the best he's ever had in his career. He's the younger guy. I completely understand wanting to pick him, and we've picked him on this podcast in a majority of those fights in his win streak. But I think this is where I'm going to pick Arnold Allen. I think this is a levels fight. Outside of kicks and BJJ, I think maybe clinch. I think Arnold Allen and knees. Arnold Allen's better everywhere. I think he's a better boxer. I think he's the more durable fighter. I think he's the better wrestler. Outside of knees, clinch, and kicks, I think Malkazayo, those are the only advantages in the fight I can give him. I think this fight being in the shorter cage in the apex is going to be tough for kickers. That being said, I think the boxing, you have to go Arnold Allen. I saw exchanges where Christian Rodriguez was landing pretty well in the boxing, and I picked Malkazayo in that fight, but that was a closer fight than you would like. And the other fight that was very competitive, more than you think it would have been, was the Julian Erosa fight, especially on the feet. I think Malkazayo is clearly the better kicker, but we've seen Arnold Allen deal with a striker with equivalent, if not greater, kicking ability in Giga Chikadze. The difference is I think Malkazayo's got a better gas tank, but chin and striking technicality and just striking in general, you can make the case Giga from a technical standpoint, at least kicking wise, is better than Melky, and I think that's good. That's a good fighter to have that Arnold Allen's already kind of faced style wise. So I'm going to go with an Arnold Allen decision where he just showcases he's the more well-rounded fighter. He gets the better of the boxing exchanges. He takes away kicking range. He smothers Malkazayo. I think Malkazayo's tough. I'm not sure if this is his first 5-round fight that he's ever been scheduled in his career. Maybe he's fought for a title in some regional scene. But at least to my knowledge, this is the first time he's ever going to fight in a 5-round fight. Arnold Allen did fight a 5-round fight against Max Holloway. He lost, but at least he's had that experience. And even though he's been knocked out now, back then Max Holloway was all-time chin, who was more durable than Malkazayo and just better than Malkazayo. I'll go Arnold Allen by decision.
All right. Yeah, I have to agree. I like Arnold Allen in this fight. Like Tony said, Malkazayo's never been 5-round, as far as we know, at least in the UFC. Arnold Allen has fought the likes of Max Holloway. He's fought Gene Silva. He's fought far better competition in the UFC than Malkazayo has. Malkazayo really has started finding his own in the UFC, so take that with a grain of salt. I do think we're getting the best Malkazayo we've ever seen. Is that good enough to beat Arnold Allen? I'm not sure. I do, on paper, though, have to favor Arnold Allen. This is a guy who can grapple effectively if he needs to. He's got more submissions in the UFC than he does the UFC. I don't think Malkazayo is going to have like a BJJ advantage or something we're not expecting. It's, I think, pretty clear. Arnold Allen with the hands or Costa with the kicks. And I think, he's dealt with kickers before, like Giga. I don't think it's going to be anything that he hasn't seen unless Malkazayo is really like that. I like Malkazayo. I've seen him KO'd in the UFC by Steve Garcia. I've seen him get fucked up in that fight. Steve Garcia is good. I don't think he's as technical as a boxer as Allen. I think he's more powerful. That being said, I think Arnold Allen's going to be landing with the hands. I think he's going to be able to be darting in and out early. Of course, one of the biggest problems with Arnold Allen is his cardio. Arnold Allen's gassed out multiple times. He's before he kind of got into the 5-round scene, he was known for winning the first 2, then gassing in the 3rd and losing the 3rd, even to like Sadiq Youssef. In a 5-round fight with Arnold Allen, you got to think of the history of hand injuries. He seems to break his hand in every fight. I expect this fight won't be any different, but I do think he will get at least 2 of the first 3 rounds, and I think he'll probably get another based just solely off of craftiness. I think we're looking at a pretty fun featherweight main event here that's primarily going to take place on the feet. That being said, I think despite maybe us seeing more BJJ and grappling from Malkazayo recently, I think Arnold Allen is the better takedown artist. I think he's got better wrestling. So I don't see Malkazayo really taking him down conventionally or anything like that. I think we're in a stand-up fight. If anybody shoots, I think it'll be Allen, but I think he'll respect the guard game and submission skills of Malkazayo. I think it's a good fight. It'll take place on the feet, but I just really like the experience. And we've already seen that boxers can give Malkazayo problems. And this isn't no Andre Philly. This is no Dan Ige or Morgan Charrier. This is Arnold Allen. He's been a perennial top 10 guy for what it feels like a decade at this point. So I'm going to go Arnold Allen. He's only lost to the best. And even when he did lose to the best, he made it close. He made the Gene Silva fight close. He made the Max Holloway face close. I mean, going 48-47 with Max Holloway pretty much in his prime says a lot. Arnold Allen, 48-47 decision.
Yeah, man, there was a point where I was going to go with Mekwazel Costa, mainly because like, yeah, losing to Gene Silva isn't bad, but I thought that fight with Gene Silva, in my opinion, was super winnable for Arnold Allen in that fight. Like it was 1-1 going into the third, and Arnold Allen didn't listen to a thing that his coaches said after round two. Like he was like saying, "Hey, go for the grappling attempt. Don't fucking go into like striking exchanges with the kickboxer. Don't go into kickboxing range with Gene." And Arnold Allen still went and hadn't got into the pocket and got into the trenches with Gene, but I'm not gonna hate on him for that. I think it's just like Gene Silva is pretty good, so I'm not gonna shit on him on that. But that part of the fight where he was trying to like, I don't know. It was a little weird from from performance in my opinion from Arnold Allen. I thought that fight could have been super winnable, but I haven't rewatched the fight since. So take my take on that fight with a grain of salt. Uh, but I thought this fight was in Brazil. That's also why I was gonna go with Melquizel. But now that I just heard it was in the Apex, and when I was watching tape for the Diego Lopez fight against Steve Garcia, I saw that fight, and not gonna lie to you, it's a bad look for Melquizel, man, and I don't like that. Yeah, we're probably gonna get a better Melquizel Costa. Uh, we could see him like look really good in a 5-round fight too, because I have seen we have seen Arnold Allen gassed out before in fights. We've seen him gassed out in fights before. Even in a 3-round fight, he has gassed out before. But I'm still gonna go with Arnold Allen using his experience and using his grit. He's only lost to Gene Silva and Max Holloway and Movsar Evlev, and even though I thought he won that fight, but that's for the birds. Uh, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Arnold Allen here, using his experience, cutting out DK. I think it's gonna look like the Giga fight where it looks competitive, but then Arnold Allen starts to turn it up here and just like not give Melquizel any room for him to throw any kicks and throw any like long range shots on him. And yeah, I've officially switched my pick. I'm going with Arnold Allen, 48-47 decision. But I swear to fuck, if he loses, I'm gonna be so mad.
All right, and that just about does all of our wartime MMA fight night Allen Costa picks. We appreciate you guys for watching the live stream. Make sure to go like and subscribe, leave a comment. If you agree, disagree, whatever your take is, feel free to leave it on the comment section. All things are open in the comment section. Say whatever you want to say. And Mike, is there anything you'd like to add onto the card, or are we good?
Just check out our next videos. We might be uploading a Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano prediction video. And stay tuned to we just had a recent interview with Adrian Yanez. Check that video out, and check out our next interview, which is potentially with AJ McKee and Contender Series. Dana White's Contender Series signing is Anthony Wilkes. That one's a good one. I'd look at that one too. And other than that, make sure y'all tune in to our next prediction videos going on.
Peace.